Joe Walsh and the Eagles have recorded here under the guidance of Bill Simzik. 461 Ocean Boulevard, Eric Clapton album, was done in the studio here too. And currently it's the studio that's being used by the GEES, who are right in the middle now of recording their new LP. In fact, they've been working on it for several months, I'm told. And I've come down here to have a listen to it and to talk to them. And that's just about now what we're going to do. All right.
Hi.
Hi. The first thing I must do is congratulate you on your phenomenal success over the last 3 or 4 years. And it's really emanated from Criteria Sound Studios.
That's right. Yeah,
Yes.
great studio.
Now, you've been actually living here for, what, 18 months now?
Yeah.
Was Criteria the main reason that you came down to Miami?
Well, don't forget Robin hasn't moved here. Robin still lives in England. But we came here about 3.5 years ago to cut an album called Main Course with Arif Marden. And we more or less fell in love with the place. Where we were staying, which is on Biscayne Bay, and now we own homes on Biscayne Bay. But before then, we were renting a place, and the weather, and it's a lot of things that a lot of reasons why we're here. Criteria is definitely one of them.
Yeah. What particular thing about the studio makes it so attractive?
It's cheap. No. Cheap it isn't.
No, apart from cheap, it's got a great atmosphere, and the acoustics are one of the key things about it. We've tried other studios while we've been working here, and they haven't worked out. We've ended up coming back. This is not a promotion. We don't have any reason to promote Criteria. We can only say how we feel when we're recording here, and we get the same reaction from other people that have recorded here, such as the Eagles have done a bit of recording here, and odds of people that have come down through the years have never had a bad word to say about Criteria.
So the relationship with the engineers here, Greg, Carl and Arnie, Albie rather.
Yeah. Well, Arnie if you like.
Arnie if you like. Right. Did that develop through the studio, or did you meet them
it
first
developed when our organisation left Atlantic, who were distributing. When RSO left Atlantic and went to Polygram, we lost Arif Marden because he was the house producer at Atlantic Records, and we lost out on that. And we decided to continue ourselves and produce our own records. And Carl was technician on Main Course, engineer I should say, and. He knew this other guy called Albie, who we'd also met before, and Albie came down to the studio the first day. We all sort of teamed up on that day, and we never looked back. It was just, it's like a whole co-production deal. We all do it together. So.
Because one of the other things that's struck me over the last sort of 18 months, 2 years or so, is how prolific you've been as writers, producers, recording artists.
I think we're going through a very positive phase in our life. We're just very positive about everything we do. Phase, yeah.
Phase.
I think phrase is pretty good too.
I like that.
He's grammar.
And and I think there's no reason why that should cease. I think we've never felt as good as this in our lives, and whenever we want to write, we just write, and it all comes out. And we don't have any anxieties that stem any of that. I mean, when you have troubles or problems, that seems to take away the ability to write good songs. When you don't have any problems and everything around you and your family, everything is happy, that's when it seems to come. Yeah. I don't think you need to be sad to write
we
sad songs.
have that in Miami. It's a very relaxed place, especially if you, well, after doing the film, for instance, coming back here and it's very quiet and it's nice and sunny and you can relax. And we're fortunate enough to have boats and that, and we can go out and do some fishing, whatever. But most of all, because
it's a capitalist.
I'm a boats.
Or it's better out in the ocean.
I'm only a resident, so I can't vote. But the actual atmosphere of the place is very relaxing for us, because we create more, anything lyric-wise, music, everything here. We recreate, I should say, better here than we do anywhere else. Yeah. Because it is relaxed. The atmosphere is relaxed. Yes. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
We've matured. We've grown into our music more over the years. Yeah. I think we've had a sort of a long education, as it were, in music, with our own music and other people's music, as well as influence over the years. And I think, that we've come to a point where, our music is taking a more positive stand than it used to. And I think, it's sort of like a person going to college or something like that, that they start out not knowing very much, they only know what they want to be or want to do, and then at the end they get their diploma, kind of thing.
Because you had initial success very quickly, didn't you?
That's right.
Yeah.
And then...
So sort of like a slap around the face with a wet kipper, you know. Here it is, boys.
Yeah, quick, and we went in those periods, or in that sort of 67, 68, the Bee Gees weren't so much an entity on their own, they were manipulated. The business was what counted then. It still does today, but in those days it was the hype, and it was Marmalade and Grapefruit and all these people, and it was all manipulated by the businessmen, the managements, and they were in total control in those days. The artist didn't know what was going on, and just did everything he was told, and to the point where his private life went out the window, for fear of doing something that his management wouldn't be happy with, you know. And that's how we lived in those days. And now we're no longer manipulated, which is an amazing relief to us.
We have a lot of more freedom in our sort of music. We could, like, the production side of it and things like that. We were limited.
Whatever we do is really our decision. Whatever we do, we just sit down and discuss with our manager Robert, and if we don't like what is happening, then he won't push it. It's that kind of thing.
It's more of a team thing now. It's more of a team thing now instead of always
it's an equality situation.
Answering back or asking, is that okay, you know, or people releasing what records they felt they wanted to release. Like in America particularly, they used to release records off our albums that, like, I started a joke they did, Holiday they did, just release them without us even knowing.
Ruffling on.
You know, so
the pills are working.
Now, the actual atmosphere now is a four-man effort instead of a one-man effort, and those three saying, is it okay? And he says, it doesn't matter what you think. You know, it's now four.
Yes, I understand completely. In a wider sense, though, people tell me that American radio, for example, has channeled down slightly now, that the possibilities for new music surfacing on radio in America is not, there's not as much chance now as perhaps there was 4 or 5 years ago.
There isn't, no, because but what the advantage of radio is here, there's a lot more radio stations, and therefore you've got the FM radio stations which do cater for newer artists, although you don't get to the masses because AM radio caters for the masses. The AM stations, as you're well aware, have a much tighter playlist because they play the top 40. Some of them don't have a top 40, they have a top 25. WABC New York has a top 25, so it's much harder for new records to be added. You have to be in the top 10 nationally before you get added.
Right.
And all these AM stations do cater for that sort of, and so new artists do get the benefit on FM at first, and sometimes then AM will, get surrounded by the FM, and then they'll go on it.
Right.
That's the only way, really, these days, a new artist can be heard.
What, Pebble in the Pool?
Yeah, but you could get a flute record. I mean, the new artist could bring out a record, AM, that is suited down to the ground for AM, and it might be getting an immediate add-on, and sort of everybody will be playing it. Out of the box, yes. Screaming out of the box. These are record things.
These are record expressions, of course.
You just mentioned the film earlier on, Morris. How did you enjoy doing that?
The Sgt. Pepper film?
Yeah.
I think it was, I think it was very enjoyable. There was a lot of 5 in the morning, get out of bed.
Put a comb across your head.
Put a comb across your head.
In my case, I polished it.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. We enjoyed working. So the first time in our lives, we'd worked with other pop artists.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yes. Are you writing prolifically?
Oh, yeah.
Have you still got space and time to do that?
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that is our time. That's what we do.
Yes.
Well, we wrote most of this album, well, I would say a third of this album in LA while we were doing the film.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is there an ideal set of circumstances for you for writing?
No. We do tend to write when we're ready. We do tend to say, let's sit down and write. Yeah. We don't just sit there and go, oh, just a minute.
I got an idea. I got an idea.
It can't be that way. You can't just sit around in the back waiting for an idea to come. You sit down and say, I'm going to write a song.
What are you doing in that bathroom?
Yeah.
All right. So just finally now, because, we're talking about planning ahead, talking about the UK, have you planned any further ahead than that?
No, I don't think we have we?
We planned an American tour in the summer of next year, which was to be this year, but exhaustion took over and instantly affected our decision. And it'll be next year in the summer. And after that, well, of course we have the UNICEF show, which should go around the world, I think, in the beginning of January, in which we get artists to donate the proceeds of a song, to UNICEF. And that should be very good.
We do a sort of satellite, as far as we know, with David Frost who's behind it.
Who's involved in that project?
David Frost.
Yeah, and Robert.
Yeah.
And it's be from the United Nations Assembly Hall, the actual show, which will also be the album.
which we'll hope to get together for UNICEF, and also UNICEF get the proceeds of the album.
Oh, yes, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, will that be broadcast simultaneously in countries all over the world?
By satellite.
Mm-hmm.
You can say Telstar.
That's if it's still up there. That's an old word, Telstar. It's not good anymore.
And that's in January?
Yes, about 3rd or 4th of January. And
It depends on if the UN Hall is painted by then.
then there's a tour, and then Rob was talking about another film, which we actually get to speak, so who knows what can top that.
Either that or we do.
This is the way you'll be able to tell that we really can't act.
We'll prove it this time.
Up to now, it's just been a theory, you know.
I must say, this has been a real enjoyable pleasure. Thank you very much, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rod. It's been nice seeing you again.
Back to the Bahamas.
Back to the board.